That's an interesting one. So you say you got to work in the industry. What was that journey like? How did you actually get to work?
I dropped out of college because, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, I was told that my mom preferred me to, do courses like, medicine and stuff like that, which, I had no interest in. So I decided, the best way was to just drop out of, college.
Yeah.
Go get a job.
Right. How did your mom take that though?
I think initially it was difficult. Yes, as you can imagine, it was difficult for her, but she sort of gave up in the end.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted to work as well.
Right.
I think I was at that point I was probably 18.
Yeah. You're still quite young though.
So I was old enough to work.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't going to be allowed to do something that I found passion in, or I was passionate about, I just dropped out and went and found a job in sales.
Yeah.
I love fashion, so the best way really to get myself out there was to just go and be closer to the clothes. And,
so you just directly applied?
Directly applied to the stores, so that took off. I worked for a few brands, started off on the high street level, and then, places like Tommy Hilfiger, Hackett, Postman.
So you worked at a few of them?
All of them, So I was in the industry for a good, 10-year span. Yeah.
Because I know from being in London at the time, nobody's really just gonna give you a job.
Absolutely.
You've got to actually be quite confident.
Yes.
So I'm really intrigued as to where did that confidence come from? Do you understand? You're not from London.
Yes.
So what made you just want to go into, did you actually literally go into the stores?
I worked in there. My first job, for example, because obviously I had no experience, but I needed to get myself out there. So it was just a matter of, okay, I made up a CV.
Right.
Put some, false informations on there. Said I worked in these places or that place.
Which places did you reference?
My first place that I ever got to work was Shelley's.
Shoe shop.
Yeah. Shoe shop.
Shelley's was a badass shoe shop back in the day.
That was a brilliant
But you
place.
didn't work in there. You didn't work in there. You put it on the CV.
So that was my first place that I got to work.
Oh, you
in.
actually worked in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But obviously on the CV I put a whole lot of
elaborated.
information that I'm fully experienced and all of that. So that got my foot in the door.
Right.
And from there it just became a career path.
Right. Okay.
And gradually I think I was at Shelley's for maybe a year and a half. Decided to move on.
Which Shelley's was it? The one in Oxford Street?
Oxford Street.
Yeah, another one.
Some underground.
You go downstairs
to
the
downstairs. It was so right opposite HMV.
I remember that.
Yes. So,
but that store was vibing back in the day. Everybody wanted to get the shoes from Shelley.
Busy,
So you probably would have learned a lot from there in terms of the energies, the personalities,
absolutely.
the fashion.
Yeah, it boosts my confidence, as a person also because you're fully engaged at all times with people.
Absolutely.
So you're getting to talk to people.
Yeah.
You're learning a great deal about customer service, how to present yourself, how to pitch.
And you don't realize at the time. What you're learning.
Absolutely.
For you, it's just, as a teenager, for you, it's just a job and you're selling shoes.
Absolutely.
But little did we know, because I also worked in a shoe store, Dulce's. I don't know if you know Dulce's.
Yes, I know.
So you're getting so many different personalities coming in there, and it's shaping who you are in terms of confidence. You're having to connect with people. You have to help them try shoes on and look at them eye to eye and understand.
All sorts of things, And
so I think that must have been a really important part.
Absolutely, the whole aspect of this was someone that was extremely quiet. If you were to ask people that really knew me in my early years, in my teenage years or my early adult years, they would say this guy was quiet. Extremely. I was a shy person. So getting out there and working, connecting and engaging people, it boosts my confidence.
Absolutely.
And I was then, able to express myself
more. Right.
And through that, obviously, I was making money.
Yeah.
I moved out.
Yeah. Oh,
went to a place on my own.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So
and then you went into fashion. Then you went into.
And then I applied to work for different brands and stuff like that along the way. So the goal really was to just climb up the ladder.
Yeah.
And get as much experience as possible under my belt.
So at that point, sorry to jump in here, but at that point you must have realized that there's a real passion here and this can potentially take me somewhere.
Absolutely.
I'm just really trying to understand when you said to yourself, you know what, I'm going to actually do something with this. I'm going to eventually start my own thing, whether it's here in London or back in Ghana. There must have been a transitional period. Absolutely. You know, when you've amassed all of that kind of experience, the personal experience in dealing with people, but also the experience in fashion. I'm just trying to understand, what was that moment like when you said, you know what, this is really, really interesting, and I'm going to try and do something? I
think for me, when I started having, you know, when I became a family man, you know, at the age of 23, I became a father. So from that moment, boom, I switched. Because then I had, it was me, it was just me before then. Right. You know, just you yourself, you know, you went out, you worked, you know, you paid your rent, you know, you were surviving, and you know, you spent half of your money on CDs and stuff like that, or buying clothes, you know. So there's no responsibility there really, you know, till, you know.
Wasn't life good back then though? Wasn't that good life? Man,
it was great.
You get paid,
honestly, you know, you just lived and it was just you. You know. So then the next stage of my life came when, okay, you're a father now, you're gonna put food on the table for other people. You know, so
at that point you decided, okay.
The career path then became, okay, well, we can still make this work, but how can we amplify something that will be, you know, for longevity? Okay. And then I thought to myself, okay, you know, I like this, but I can't do this forever because it doesn't pay enough. I wanted to, at a point, I wanted to be a stylist. I did like a whole photo shoot, got myself out there. But, you know, I couldn't really connect with potential clients. So, you know.
Why do you think that was? What was the lack of connection?
I think it was to do with time, because I was constantly working. You couldn't take time off to really, you know, go and look for another gig, for example. And I just thought at the time it was extremely competitive. I didn't have enough in my locker, you know, the network to really get myself out there, you know, to connect with the right people to get work. So I eventually gave that up. And then I think around 2012, I had been in the industry for so long that it was very repetitive, and I just got bored in the end.
And you're still in sales at this point, right?
I was still, yes, I was still, at this time, I think I was a Hakiro. I just started at McQueen. You know, the money was okay. You know, it was enough to just keep you going, you know, to survive on. You're getting by. But I knew there was more to me. You know, I knew there was more that I could do in my life. And I started coming to Ghana a bit more. You know, I connected with people here. I met, you know, a lot of our people back in these shops that I was working at. So I would engage them. You know, if you met a brother, Ghanaian brother, you know, came to my store, I was so happy to, you know, just talk to them, you know, how's Ghana? You know, they were like, yo, you got to come to Ghana, you know. So it spurred me on to just travel more. You know, because it was all work at that moment and family life. You know, so I thought, let me just try and come home a bit more and see what the place has to offer. And then, you know, I kept coming back and forth, buying stuff and selling stuff, you know, to them. And I thought to myself, well, what if I were to make this easily accessible to them? You know, what if I brought on board the quality that these guys were traveling miles for? Because yes, I mean, I think one thing they used to say was, we have the money, but not necessarily, you know, the right things to buy, or, you know, the right access. Quality, you know, access to quality stuff in Ghana or, you know, in Accra here. So for me, I drew a plan, and as an entrepreneur and as a you know, a business person, at the time I didn't see it. I just thought, but I just, you know, I put pen to paper. I'm like, okay, well, this is a problem here.
You actually wrote it down?
Yeah, you know, this is a problem here. This is a problem these guys have. They don't have access to quality clothing. So the goal really is to go and supply quality clothing and nothing else. Because there are a lot of mediocre ones, so the goal would be to just, you know, bring about the finest that there is. So my first thing was to look for a manufacturer. And it had to be based in either in the UK or in Italy. these are two places that, you know,
the quality level
produce,
is,
you know, the finest suiting that there is, you know. So that was one thing. So a lot of research was done. I knew a few people in the industry, so, you know, I went about and, you know, spoke to them for a bit of help. They guided me, you know, in terms of places to go to find these, you know, these manufacturers. And I did. I traveled around Europe for, I think, within a month, I went about a few places.
Making connections, right?
Making connections and going to, you know, some firms, you know, some manufacturing firms to see what they were capable of in terms of, you know, their production.
And what were you learning in that journey? What were you learning?
Man, it was all new to me. I was clueless, but I knew I needed to find the best people to work with. You know, I had the idea. I needed people that can execute it.
Right.
You know, yes. You know, the idea was all there. You know, I had a business plan in place.
People to help you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm not a designer, first of all. I haven't been to school. You know, for that.
It's just the idea that you've got.
It's an idea. I'm purely, and everything that is of Brommon came through experience. You know, by being on a shop floor, engaging with clients, knowing what they want, and engaging them, and to really nail down what it takes to really be a gentleman in terms of, you know, your appearance and all of that.
Question: did you get any setbacks? You know, you're traveling, a young man traveling around Europe, trying to make connections. I'm very sure not everybody was as warm and receptive, and we can work together. I'm sure a lot of people are like,
what are you talking about?
So how did you manage that?
So I remember I went a few places, and most of them turned me down. Because obviously I went there with a business plan. I pitched the whole idea to them. You know, the brand is going to be based in Africa, in Ghana. And then they'll pull back and look at you like, well, what are you talking about? I mean, you're going to sell these products in Africa? You know, do they have that kind of money to spend and buy these suits? And I said, yeah. So I think my first couple of weeks, I remember I traveled to at least 2 or 3 places, you know, different countries. I got turned down. And then, you know, the 4th one, I came about these guys and they were like, we don't get it.
And where was that at the time? Italy? Or?
This was in Italy, yes. This was in Italy.
That's a lot of confidence.
Yes.
It's a lot of confidence.
You know, I walked in there, I said, hey, first of all, I don't have the money. You know, because I needed a certain amount of money to as a deposit. You know, as a commitment, you know, to work with them. And I didn't have that. You know, because there was nothing in my account. I didn't have that, so. That's an interesting.